Well, June 11, and we are here at the Drippolator Coffee House. I'm sure certain family members of mine are sad they're not with me right now. It's one of our favorites. Well, time for a fill-up, and we'll be back on our way. I was really looking forward to my Abrams Falls hike. So I got up at 4 a.m. so I could drive 5 hours to get to Cades Cove. As you can see, I'm coming in from Townsend, and I've just reached the point where I have to turn right to head in towards Cades Cove. As you can see, we are coming into Cades Cove here on the horses in the fields, the long line of cars, which is all too familiar. There are several animals we saw. The wild turkey, as you can see here. Just the beautiful landscape and some signs with which we are familiar. Cades Cove just looks so much like a postcard. And of course, we can't forget the black bears. Looking at such beautiful, peaceful portraits, I can't help but think how wonderful our God is to give us such an effective, soothing antidote to the stresses of society. Okay, yet another black bear. For this backpacking trip, I headed once again to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, specifically to the historic Cades Cove at the west end of the park. I chose to start at the Abrams Falls Trailhead, the southernmost point of access. While this did add a mile to my first day, it also allowed me to have a shorter hike on my second day. From the trailhead, I started out on Abrams Falls Trail for about 200 feet before I turned northeast onto Wet Bottom Trail for that extra mile. Along the way, passing the Elijah Oliver place. At 1 mile, I turned west onto Cooper Road Trail. I continued on Cooper Road Trail for about 5.5 miles of up and down, with a cumulative elevation gain and loss of about 1,200 feet. At the end of Cooper Road Trail, I turned south on Hatcher Mountain Trail for 2.6 miles, with just over 800 feet drop in elevation. Finally, I left Hatcher Mountain Trail to turn west onto Little Bottoms Trail for about 0.6 of a mile to reach Campsite 17, the Little Bottoms campsite. The next morning, I hiked out the 0.6 miles that I had traveled to reach the campsite to rejoin Hatcher Mountain Trail, where I continued south for about 0.2 of a mile. At that point, I turned east onto Abrams Falls Trail, heading about 1.8 miles to stop at Abrams Falls itself, and then continuing the remaining 2.4 miles back to the Abrams Falls trailhead and my car. You'll no doubt notice I am a little bit late getting started here. It's about 12:30, 12:40, so I'm gonna have to cook to make it to my site by evening, by dark. I am assuming I can park here at the trailhead. Alright, time to get started here. Alright, we were going to start from the Cooper's Road Trail, but I started to come up down to the lower entrance here, Abrams Falls entrance, do the wet bottoms over to it so that I end here at the lower elevation. So, let's continue on. So, I'm going to go down the Abrams Falls trails long enough to encounter the Wet Bottoms Trail, which is coming right up here, it looks like. Cut over to the Cooper's Road, which goes on up, and then I'll be back on my original plan. Okay, as you can see, we're just going to cut, instead of going up like this, we're going to have to cut back over here to go the Wet Bottom Trail over to hit the Cooper's Road Trail. There it is. Okay, and we are fast approaching. Looks like a homestead. Okay, as we leave the homestead here, we are going to be heading towards the Cades Cove Loop Trail. So heading back towards Cades Cove just a bit. Just talked to a couple. It looks like I went off the Wet Bottom Trail a little bit to visit that homestead. So I'm gonna cut back. I'm gonna get right back to it, and then we'll be on Cooper Road Trail. Okay, it turns out it was the Elijah Oliver homestead that I went to. As you can see, we have another barn here after the Elijah Oliver. I don't know if it's part of the same one or not. And this is where Wet Bottoms Trail, Cooper Road intersection. This is where Cooper Road and 0.2. So now we're where I wanted to be. And we're going to head off and up Cooper Trail, Cooper Road Trail. Oh, just how gorgeous. Just a brief eternity later, turns out we are reaching the trail I originally wanted to start on. And that is, sure enough, we are now hitting the trail here, going to the left, Cooper Road Trail, you can see on top. And we just have to go to the left a long ways. A little further than the 5.5. Should keep me busy with my 2-hour late delay in getting started. Plus, the fact that I went down an extra half mile or so to start to make my hike out tomorrow a little shorter, but It just accentuates today's. Oh well. I'd love to know what this one is if anyone out there has an ID for me. As you can see, we have some beautiful, just beautiful flowers. Based on the stem and the leaf characteristics, I think this one's the oxeye daisy. Multiple examples. We will identify that one. I should have brought along a botanist and aster. No, I think it's in the aster family. Okay. I have discovered a secret. When when you're 20s, trails don't seem all that challenging. You can knock them out, no sweat. If you want to increase the challenge, I have discovered a secret. You merely stop backpacking for about 25 years, let yourself get out of shape, and then come back. Then they'll have the challenge. Beautiful. So much for worrying about the challenge. Just enjoy the Cooper Road Trail. Okay, we are taking just a brief rest here on the Cooper Ridge Trail. Seems to have come about 1.5 miles already. Oh, look at that. And it's only 9/10 of a mile to our next waypoint. Alright, heading north, all that good stuff. As you can see, though, it is a very pleasant trail. Actually, the temperature's pleasant, even though I'm sweating pretty bad, just because I'm out of shape. But if you take a look around here, you'll see what I'm talking about for the view. Alright, you look down here, just beautiful, beautiful. You can look way down into this valley. And one of the flowers that I've been interested in, if you come down here and take a look at it, you can see this one right in front of it here, if I can get a little ways back from it. There we go. I think that's the rattlesnake plantain. If you take a look at the leaves, get around here we go. You can see the nice stripe on the leaf. I love the way the dappled lighting played on the ferns. The delicate little flowers. The color, the patterns on the flowers were just exquisite. Such beautiful artistry in such color. Other flowers, not as colorful, but still every bit as beautiful. And of course, we can't forget the invertebrates. It's Venus's pride. Always pleasant to come up on water, and it turns out we got our first stream to ford. Fortunately, not too bad here on the shallow edge. Uh-oh. It's that evil uphill again. The ever-changing trailside plants and trail conditions always kept things interesting, even when you're tired. Just to look at the tunnels and the lights. And such interesting, glossy texture to the leaves. Thought I had cell signal for just a little bit there as I was going along the top, the higher elevation there along the ridge on the Cooper Road Trail. Sorry, I gotta keep my eye on the ground a little bit so I don't do a slip and slide. But it just kept going in and out, so I sent a bunch of texts. I think they still say sending. So we'll see if they make it. Now the sun is out. The trail is brightly lit in patches. Other places, not as much. That's okay. Really, truly. Can't think of a better place to be. Apart from in the company of other wonderful people, such as my family. This is the next best thing. Oh, wow. How can you not think of a power greater than yourself when you see such order, such complementarity, such elegance? Well, we are still, as me, myself, and I, still working my way along the Cooper Road Trail, but there are just constantly, there's Mount Laurel, all kinds of flowers available. In fact, really pretty one I just saw here. I'll switch over to the other camera. This one had me stumped at first, but it turns out it's the horse nettle. It's almost a shooting star look to it. So, still on the Cooper Road Trail. I think I got about a mile and a half to 2 miles before I hit, excuse me, let me get this tilted down a little bit, before I hit the Hatcher Mountain Trail. The swamp that the trail has become in this section. But that's what you get when you have lots of lovely rain. And there are compensations in the way of just beautiful streams. And watch the fish here. Don't know how well you can see it, but there's a number of little fish swimming around, darting left and right. It's just such a peaceful, just almost surreal, just watching them float around right there in front of you. Then back to that lovely uphill that we know so well. Wow. That is exhausting. We are currently 4.2. Got about 3 miles to go, I think. And we'll see how much of that is downhill. But now I gotta get some water and some electrolytes. So I'll take a short break for that. So right now it's 4:45. Alrighty. Okay. Just finished the second iOS break. iOS. I'm old and out of shape. So we should be just about to the Hatcher Mountain Trail. That should be, I'm trying to remember now. I have to go look at the map, but I think it's like a mile and a half till we hit Little Bottom Trail, and then about half a mile to the campsite. So let's see how much of me makes it there. According to the GPS, we should be getting close to our next turn to our Mahatchee Trail. So we're gonna just feels good to stretch the back occasionally. Okay, so we will switch to the front camera. We have before us. Now, I would do some of those theatrical placing of the camera and then walking past it. I'm way too tired to duplicate my hiking like that right now. Maybe next time. Okay. Alright, that's the Beard Cane Trail going off to the right. Alright. Alright, the Beard Cane going off to the right. And Hatcher Mountain, that's the one I'm looking for. That's the one. We're going to do Hatcher Mountain Trail. Little Bottom says 2 miles down, 2.6. Wishful thinking, right? All right. Let's hit the Hatcher Mountain Trail. We are still headed down the Hatcher Mountain Trail at the moment. I think we're about, maybe half a mile down or so. But it is just, it's a pretty little tunnel. Here, I'll show you. Just a beautiful tunnel. What really adds to the beauty is it's going downhill. Evidently I was going to say I paid my dues, but as soon as I say that, some engineers are going to come out here and put an uphill in my path. So I can't tempt fate that badly. Okay, we started out with the small woodland sunflower, and then of course the flame azalea. Unmistakable bright splash of colors, so pretty. This next one, false Solomon seal, really beautiful leaves. I love the grooves. Then we have, I think, yellow stargrass. And what's fast becoming my favorite, one of my favorites, is the spotted wintergreen. Love the deep greens. And of course, we end here with rattlesnake weed. Sure is pretty. Especially if you pan upwards a little bit. I like the Hatcher Mountain Trail. Okay, we're still on the Hatcher Mountain Trail, but found a flower here. I think it's Solomon's. I'll have to look that up again later. As you can see, I'll go down low and if you can see the leaves with it here, but it is just a beautiful flowing. Just gorgeous. Here we have the Appalachian spreading begonia. I love the delicate, elegant, thin lines of this flower. Then we have, I believe, the wild hydrangea and the wild or eastern bleeding heart. Pretty flower. Of course, just the trail conditions you run into. And this one is so delicate, so ethereal. It's really pretty, this fairy's wand. Still working on Hatcher Mountain Trail, although we're about halfway, a little over halfway. But what's really fun is just every so often you just look off to the side. You can start to see the other mountain range. And if you look down, it goes down. It is just so pretty. Ah, what better way than in the great Smoky Mountains. There we go. You can see a little bit of that view I was just talking about. Oh, we're going into the sun now, so I'll give you another angle in a moment. Okay, we have another just puffballs everywhere. Just beautiful. If you listen close, you can hear a little bit of a roar. At least I can. I've been listening to that for about the past minute, and that's made me smile because it lets me know that I'm getting close to water, which means to Abrams Creek and the falls. It also means that I'm getting near to where I have an intersection with another trail. I'm trying to remember the name of that one. Comes in. Oh, it's right. It's right up here. So let's go take a look. As you can see, we have something coming up here. Okay. Yes, Hatcher Mountain we've been on. Abrams Falls is 1.9 to go. And let's see which one. Aha! Little Bottoms Trail. Okay. This is where I need to take out, because I thought it was, this might be the trail I'm looking for. I think it is. Alright. Unfortunately, I have to set everything down. Get to the top here. It's alright. May as well take a look. Yeah, Hatcher Mountain, Little Bottoms Trail. That's the one. Little Bottoms Trail. Part of the confusion comes from the fact that I was considering about 3 or 4 different loops out here, and I keep forgetting which one I finally decided on. Alright. We'll get some water, and we're good to go. At this point of the hike, I was about 9 miles in, and I was just utterly amazed at the surprising increase in gravitational intensity for my backpack. Surely this must be some new and amazing phenomena, worthy of publication. Wow. That Little Bottom Trail, I just thought it'd be right along the side of the creek. I realize now, all those little squigglies weren't just there because they were trying to think of something to write. It was because of the elevation gain. It's like climbing all the way back up. Went all the way almost down to the creek and all the way back up almost to the level of the trail when we split off. And now I'm starting to go back down to the creek again to my campsite. So it's like a big up and then back down to my campsite. As you can see, it is a bit of downhill. And being as tired as I am, figured may as well commit my fall to memory or video. The modern equivalent, somebody falls in the woods and it's not on video. Did it actually happen? Evidently, my philosophical prowess was suffering a bit by this point. Truly is beautiful, isn't it? We're almost to the campsite. It's just, you can't beat the scenery. Last little bit of Little Bottom Trail before we reach our campsite. We have others who are there at the campsite. Yep, there it is. Whoa. This is 17?
Yep.
Perfect.
It's pretty packed.
Yeah, I'll squeeze in somewhere. Not sure why she said it was packed. Apart from her and her husband, there was just myself and one other camper. Oh well. Don't even have to do fire. I think I'll try over here. That's interesting. You can see some of the remnants of the Smokies from before it was a national park. Evidently somebody had a retaining wall house out this direction or something. I think I will use this area right here to set up my camp. Setup really was not that bad. When you've been hiking for 10 plus miles and over 1,000 feet elevation change, the 5.5 pounds of tent, and that does include rainfly and tarp, but still, that gets pretty heavy. I think I'm going to be switching over to hammock as soon as I can find one at a decent price. But still, this tent has been very good to me over the past 15-20 years. Okay, fairly well wiped out. That refers to the battery on the phone. That refers to my water supply. Well, until I got here, I just filled up completely full. I'll show you in a second. And me. So we're all set. Have my tent all set up as you saw. Filled up with water. I've got the water boiling, and I'll show you that. Not much of a surprise on this one here. Although, if you look really close, yeah, sure enough, it's the same alcohol stove. Only this time I remembered to bring the little metal stand. I had to bend it inward because instead of the teapot, I am now using a titanium Dutchware Gear 750 ml pot. And that is my cooking, that's my mug, it's my everything. So it should be boiling shortly. And as you can see down here, I've got the 48 ouncer, I've got my 1 liter, and hiding behind it is my half liter, all full of water. So I think I'm all set. We'll see what comes up here shortly. Unfortunately, my phone didn't pick up the audio too well here. I was pointing out that I had arranged my tinder and the sticks in increasing size so that when I lit it, it would really get the fire going. I was a little too tired to do any striking the flint or anything like that. There's nothing that is so nostalgic, nothing that so oozes a sense of I'm camping, like having a campfire at the end of the day. Truly is wonderful. As with any backpacking video, it is difficult to sufficiently emphasize how wonderful it is to have a warm, flavorful meal to end the day. I do love a good fire. It's just contemplative. It'll let you think about the things that matter. Okay, it's now pretty late. I think it's time for me to hit the sack. I'll see you in the morning.
Well, almost 6. 5:45, close enough. It's amazing how comfortable it is.
Okay, before we head out today, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of water. Won't need much. I mean, liter and a half, and I probably won't use that up because we won't have nearly the elevation gain. And it's a little bit shorter. I cannot tell you how wonderful it is to have this new water filter. It's a Sawyer, and it's so quick, so fast to filter the water, and so much less hassle and trouble than the old hand pump varieties. Got the tent almost all ready to go. No rain last night, but it is damp on the ground, and so it's has a sheen of moisture we need to get rid of before I roll it up. So I've got it all set, folded up, sitting on top of a log to dry off. We got the water heating. We should have some fancy quicker oatmeal, instant, and be ready to go probably within the hour. Well, turns out that I brought my 5 pounds of amateur radio for a good reason. I was actually wanting to take a look and see if could I get a hold of any repeaters out here, but you're so in amongst the valleys and ridges in here that it's very often deep in the Smokies it's going to be hard to knock down a repeater. By knock down a repeater, I mean you have enough signal strength to reach the repeater and it will accept your signal and rebroadcast it. So, I did find out there's one on Chilhowie Mountain right here. It's 146.625, and there's a sub-audible of 118, but I don't think it necessarily uses that. That's on Chilhowie Mountain. And you can see it goes silent for a bit. It's because I triggered the repeater and it's waiting for my input and broadcasting the carrier, but waiting for me to keep talking. There's the other campsite through the trees over there. About, maybe 70 yards. And of course, another campsite you can just about 30 yards maybe. Well, time to say goodbye to the campsite. But about 9:10, 9:15, and lovely campsite. And it's beautifully close to the water. You get to hear the sound of the stream all night. It's just wonderful. Multiple campsites around here. It's really nice. It's secluded. It's rather secluded. Only 3 people again showed up. So it's time to get going. As you can see, right up as soon as we hit the trail, it's just a beautiful overlook of Abrams Creek. That's going to go on eventually to Abrams Falls. Upstream to Abrams Falls, that is. And it keeps on going down the Abrams Falls Trail till you hit the campsite, or the trailhead where my car is. It's a wonderful thing. Meanwhile, onward and upward. Well, I'm going to be heading down, or back along the Little Bottoms Trail, about 0.6 of a mile till I hit the Hatcher Mountain Trail. I have maybe 2/10 on that before I hit the Abrams Falls Trail. I will head east on that, back to the campsite. But I'd forgotten, blissfully forgotten, that this Little Bottoms Trail between here and Hatcher Mountain goes more almost a rock climb. Well, not really, but that thing does a nifty little narrow elevation gain. Before coming back down. So, I'll get you to enjoy that again. As you can see, we have some lovely rhododendron in bloom. There we go. Just exquisite, isn't it? Unfortunately, with all this COVID business, I've not had a chance to make it to the office to pick up my field guides. This one looks very much reminiscent of a shield dapperling. This one, on the other hand, with its coloration and the grooved edges that remind me of a quarter, this one looks like the grisette, Amanita vaginata. Of course, you can never get tired of the wild hydrangea. And this one here that looks so much like a stylized image of a COVID virus is the white milkweed, Asclepias variegata. This one here looks very much like the Indian pipe or ghost flower, Monotropa uniflora. Well, one nice thing about that elevation gain on Little Bottom Trail does give you quite the view. And if we come up over here, here's this creek. Way down below. I love the coloration on this one. This one is the Eastern Sweet Shrub, or Canalicanthus floridus. Okay, you can see way down. Down in there. Several hundred feet below us was where the campsite was. Look at this scenery. I believe this one is a fleabane. There are 3 very similar species, but I believe this one is the lesser daisy or prairie. That's not all. We saw this one earlier in the hike. There we go. This one would appear to be another white milkweed. It is obviously earlier in the cycle, but still very pretty flower. Finally, reaching the downhill portion. You can see it heads on down a ways. Downhill's welcome, unless your legs are tired, in which case a little downhill isn't bad. A slip and slide like this, pros and cons, but it is beautiful. I'll tell you what, the bugs have not been bad at all. Hardly any bugs. Okay, we should be getting close to the Hatcher Mountain Trail, where we peeled off of it yesterday to go out Little Bottom Trail to the campsite. So we'll hit that. We should bear right, more or less south, and then about 2/10 of a mile we should hit Abrams Falls Trail. Here is their no horses No kidding. Like we mentioned yesterday, that's the trail, Little Bottoms Trail. The one we just showed you just came from the campsite down there. I'll get without the backlight. Hatcher Mountain Trail, that's where we're going towards Abrams Falls. 1.9 miles. Oh, at Abrams Falls itself. The trail should be sooner than that. Okay. Off we go. Looks like we are just coming up on the intersection of Hatcher Mountain Trail where it intersects Abrams Falls, is my guess. Ha 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 ha. Abrams Falls, that's a nice thing. Look at that. Yep, 2/10, because now it's only 1.7 to the falls itself. And 4.2 to Cades Cove itself. Alright. Onward and, sadly, upwards. I think we got some of these yesterday. There we go. Very pretty. There we have another, what, trillium or? And just a little nut. Okay, this is a really pretty, delicate little thing. There we go. That is just full of those little things. Just a restful look at Abrams Creek. It is a really pretty plant, I think. I love the deeply grooved, tapered leaves and the way the blooms hang down all along the axis. This differs from the false Solomon seal that has everything at the terminus. Let's take a look at the life of the party here. Yes, it's an old tire joke as well, but I like it. Some really cool shelf fungi. And here you can see one that is just a little one and a much bigger one. Really cool. Can't skip mention of the ferns. There, that's better. And of course, our perennial favorites here. I'll go a little further down, look at them. Now that looks like a wonderful place to set up a little camp chair, secluded, shaded with the stream bubbling by. Oh, that is pretty. Oh, sorry, fella. No step on. There we go. Let's see this little fella right here. Moss is so cool. Those bryophytes. You can see the green haploid structures, gametophytes, going up, and the stalk coming up the top. That's the sporophyte. So there's sporophyte and gametophyte, haploid and diploid. And the same. It is so cool. Without my field guides, the best I can say is this one looks like it might be a yellow field cap, and this one, don't know. Texture looks a little bit like a red cracking Belletti. Okay, here we have another beauty, and see the leaf pattern here, and better yet, the flower itself. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Just pretty. Okay, anytime you hear something roaring that loud, you know you're probably pretty close to a pretty big source of water. In this case, since I know I'm approaching Abrams Falls, that's my guess. In fact, I'm certain that it's just around this corner here. Sure enough. Yep, that's going back to the Abrams Falls parking lot. But what we're more interested in is over here. Yeah, as you can see here, Abrams Falls. Now that we've gotten the glamour chute people out of the way. Okay, that's what you came down the trail for. It is gorgeous. And if we can ever get all the city, I'm doing the glamour shot by the fall kids out of the way, we can get even a more beautiful view. Oh well. Absolutely beautiful falls. Okay, that was a delightful 20-30 minutes there at Abrams Falls. The problem is, in order to get a picture of the falls themselves, or video, you have to wait for a shift change for those who have crawled up there next to the falls themselves and clutter up the picture. I mean, who doesn't want a picture of somebody they don't know from Adam clogging up their picture? So, just have to wait till they leave. And sure enough, if you wait long enough, you can eventually get a few of those. And that was enough to do the job. So now, we are going to leave Abrams Falls. And we are going to head back to the parking area. And turns out that we've got... Oh, you know, let's light this thing up here just a little bit. Anyway, it says we've got 2.47 miles to go, so let's go ahead and get started. Isn't that interesting? You can see the refresh rate on the 66i. So about an hour to hour and a half. Much easier to average 2 miles an hour on this. I gotta love the blackberry. Common though it may seem, it is just really pretty. One of the nicer, more pleasant sections of Abrams Trail. Wish there was a way to convey the pleasant sensation of being kind of hot and then having a cool breeze tunnel right through this shaded Sylvan passage. I think we're within half a mile or so of the parking lot, but just look at what we have en route. With all the rain that the Smokies get, you have to love the ferns and fern-like plants. Another look here at Venus's Pride, and of course, along with the mountain laurel, one of our all-time favorites, the rhododendron. And look at this. We have... Not sure why I didn't record, but I was trying to tell you that this was the black rat snake, Pantherophis obsoletus. Beautiful little snake. Well, I think we are coming up near the end here. Parking lot, so signs of civilization any moment. Yeah, this is the spot. Yep. That's the spot yesterday where we went to the right, we hit Elijah Oliver's place, and then went over to Cooper Road Trail, and the rest is videographic history. Oh well. And back to the Abrams Falls Trailhead. Sweet home. And back from the Abrams Trailhead, back on to good old Cades Cove one-way loop. Okay, we are coming up here on, as you can see, the rest stop for Cades Cove, the halfway point scenic loop. And as you can see, we have our third bear sighting way out there, a dot in the distance.